even your incognito tab.
Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and elders, a great millstone, peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Silver is going through the roof. I want you to hear what this dude says, even though it's an AI, it may be AI or whatever. They got some good information. Whoever's controlling this account, trying to get the information out there. But, it's going down in the earth, man. This has everything to do with war, with everything, man. Everything that's going on. All right, these minerals that they're fighting over. Let's play the video. All praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Double honors to my apostles, the bishops, elders, a great millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Hopefully, message edifying. Shalom. Real quick to the point.
As you sit at your computer or hold your phone in your hand, I need you to do something for me right now. Close all the tabs except for this one. Yes, all of them. Even your incognito tab. And I'm not going to ask why you have incognito open. I'm just going to assume you are researching investment strategies that you do not want in your browser history. Yeah, sure. Let us go with that. Ladies and gentlemen,
Right.
Asian guy here, known as John AG from Currency Archive. The price you see on your screen, the price that your broker is showing you for COMEX spot silver, is a lie. It is a fiction. It is a number generated by a computer in New York that has lost all connection to physical reality. Because while that screen tells you that silver is trading at $85 per ounce, on the other side of the world in Shanghai, China, the real price, the price that buyers are actually paying for physical metal, just hit $93.31. Let me say that again so it sinks in. $93.31. That is the closing price for the afternoon session on the Shanghai Futures Exchange today. Not last week, not yesterday, today, January 12th, 2026. And the spread between these two prices, the gap between the fantasy price in New York and the real price in Shanghai, is now $8.31. $8 on a single ounce of silver. In a functioning market, that spread should not exist for more than 5 minutes. In a functioning market, every arbitrage trader on the planet would be buying silver in New York at $85, putting it on a plane, flying it to Shanghai, and selling it for $93. They would make an $8 risk-free profit on every single ounce. They would close that gap within hours, but the gap is not closing. In fact, it is widening. And the reason it is widening is the most important thing you need to understand about the silver market right now. The arbitrage is dead. The bridge between the East and the West has been blown up, and the metal that used to flow freely between the two markets is no longer flowing, because there is no metal left to move. This is the day we have been warning you about for years. This is the day the paper market dies. This is the day the system breaks, and you're watching it happen in real time. Let me walk you through exactly what happened today. Because the numbers coming out of China are absolutely insane. The Shanghai Futures Exchange trades silver in 2 sessions, the morning session, which we call the AM session, and the afternoon session, which we call the PM session. This morning, the AM session closed at $91.13 per ounce. That was already a massive number. That was already significantly higher than the US spot price. But we have seen high premiums in Shanghai before, so while it was notable, it was not shocking. But then the PM session happened, and something changed. The afternoon session opened, and the buying pressure was overwhelming. Not just retail buyers, not just speculators, industrial buyers, corporate procurement officers, strategic hoarders. They were sweeping the order book. They were buying everything available at any price. And by the time the session closed, the price had ripped to $93.31. That is a $2.18 move in a single afternoon session. That is the kind of move you see in a currency crisis. That is the kind of move you see when a government loses control of its bond market. But this is not a currency. This is a physical metal. And the fact that it is moving $2 in an afternoon tells you that the buyers are desperate. Now, let's compare that to what happened in the United States today. The COMEX spot price for silver, the price that is being quoted on every financial news channel, every broker platform, every investment app, closed somewhere around $85. I say somewhere around because the price is fluctuating minute by minute, but the key point is this. The US market is trading at least $8 below the Chinese market. $8. That is not a premium. That is not a spread. That is a chasm. In the world of commodities trading, an $8 spread on a fungible asset like silver is a market failure. It means the two markets are no longer connected. It means the price discovery mechanism is broken down. It means we are no longer trading in one global silver market. We are trading in two separate markets that have no relationship to each other. And the most terrifying part is this: the gap is not narrowing, it is expanding. 2 weeks ago, when we first started tracking this after the Chinese export licensing system went live on January 1st, the spread was around $5. Last week, it grew to $7. Today, it hit $8.31. What does that tell you? It tells you that the pressure is building, not releasing. It tells you that every day that passes, the Chinese buyers are willing to pay more and more above the Western price. It tells you that they are not waiting for the prices to converge. They are front-running the inevitable breakdown of the Western market. Why are they paying $93 when the spot price is $85? Because they know that the spot price is irrelevant. The spot price is the price of a paper promise. The spot price is what you pay to buy a futures contract that might or might not deliver metal in 3 months. But the Shanghai price is the price of real physical silver, bars that you can touch, metal that you can load onto a truck and drive to your factory. And in a world where the vaults are empty, where the delivery failures are piling up, the physical price is the only price that matters. So when I tell you that silver hit $93 in China today, I'm not telling you about a rally. I am telling you about a repricing. I am telling you that the market is finally, after decades of suppression, discovering the true value of scarce physical metal in a world that desperately needs it. And this brings us to the question that everyone is asking: why can't the arbitrage traders close the gap? Why aren't the banks buying in New York and selling in Shanghai? The answer is simple and terrifying: because there is no silver to move. You see, arbitrage requires two things. First, you need price divergence. We have that. The spread is $8. Second, you need available supply. You need to be able to actually buy the metal in the cheap market and transport it to the expensive market. And that is where the system is breaking down. Because when the banks try to buy physical silver in New York, when they try to stand for delivery on the COMEX, when they try to source bars from the dealers, when they try to pull metal out of the vaults, they are discovering that the metal is not there. The registered inventory at the COMEX is down to around 30 million ounces. That sounds like a lot until you realize that the open interest, the total number of paper claims on silver, represents hundreds of millions of ounces. So the metal that is supposed to back all those paper claims does not exist. It has been drained. It has been taken out of the vaults by the smart money who saw this coming months ago. And even if a bank could find silver in New York, they cannot ship it to China because of the export licensing system. Once metal crosses the border into China, it is trapped. It cannot come back out. The Chinese government has effectively created a one-way valve. Silver flows in, but it does not flow out. So the arbitrage is not just difficult, it is impossible. The bridge has been destroyed. And the two markets are now floating free, completely disconnected from each other. This is the bifurcation that we have been talking about for weeks. And today is the day it became undeniable.
Yeah, so this is gonna bring war. All right, this is a big reason for war. For war to happen in this place, man. World War III. All right, I want to play another video. There was something that he said earlier. Was that today? It may have been yesterday. Hold up. Oh, excuse me. I go back to my channel. There goes another one.
I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to what's happening with silver, but silver just put a new all-time high at $85.65. It's going through the roof. It's because China defaulted. And if you guys aren't following a gentleman by the name of the Asian guy over on X, holy cow, one of the best, most articulate, straight to the point, doesn't waste any of your time going on rants or rambling. He gets in and he delivers every single time, and you guys need to follow this guy. Check this video out. If you guys aren't stacking silver, you might want to pay attention to what's going on right now. Check this out.
But the real story is that the U.S. government needs cash. They need funding. Funding for what? Funding for the war machine. Now, let me ask you a question. What does a modern military need to function? It needs steel, it needs oil, it needs lithium for batteries, and it needs silver. Silver is in every missile guidance system.
You hear that? That's all you need to hear. Silver is in every missile guidance system, man. All right? That's what you need to hear right there.
Silver is in every radar array. Silver is in every advanced electronics package on a fighter jet or a naval destroyer. The Patriot missile defense system that the U.S. is deploying across the Middle East. Each unit contains significant amounts of silver for its targeting and tracking systems. The Chinese DF-26 carrier killer missile? Same story. The Russian hypersonic systems? Same story. When nations prepare for war, they hoard the metals they need to build weapons. I need you to turn off the television. I need you to close the other browser tabs, even the adults' websites. I need you to listen to me very carefully, because what I am about to tell you is not speculation. It is not a prediction. It is not a theory. It has already happened. Ladies and gentlemen, Asian guy here, the event that we have been warning about for years, the event that the mainstream financial media told you was impossible, the event that the bullion banks swore could never occur, just occurred. And it happened while you were sleeping. It happened while the Western world was distracted by headlines about Iran. It happened on Thursday night, January 9th, 2026. The Shanghai Gold Exchange failed to deliver physical silver. Not failed in the sense of a small delay. Not failed in the sense of a technical glitch. Failed in the sense that 98.5% of the metal that was requested simply did not exist. Failed in the sense that the vault doors opened and there was nothing inside. Failed in the sense that the paper promises were exposed as lies. Let me give you the numbers. Because numbers don't lie. Politicians lie, bankers lie, the media lies. But mathematics is truth. On Thursday, January 9th, the Shanghai Gold Exchange received delivery requests for 64 tons of physical silver. 64 tons. That's not a small amount, but it's also not extraordinary for the world's largest physical silver exchange. In a functioning market, that request should have been filled without breaking a sweat. Do you know how much silver was actually delivered? 1 ton. 1 ton out of 64 tons requested. That is a failure rate of 98.44%. Let me say that differently so it sinks in. For every 100 ounces of silver that holders demanded, they received 1.56 ounces. The other 98.44 ounces, gone, vanished, non-existent. This is not a squeeze. This is not a shortage. This is a default. This is a force majeure event that they simply haven't labeled as such yet. Because the moment they officially declare force majeure, the entire global silver market implodes. So instead, they are pretending it's a logistical delay or a settlement issue. They are buying time. They are hoping you don't notice. But we notice. And now you know. And let's put this in perspective so you understand the magnitude of what just happened. 64 tons equals approximately 2,058,000 troy ounces. That's the amount that was requested. 1 ton equals approximately 32,150 troy ounces. That's what was delivered. So we are talking about a delivery of 32,000 ounces against a demand of 2 million ounces. Now, compare that to the COMEX. The COMEX registered inventory, the metal that is supposed to be available for immediate delivery, sits at roughly 30 million ounces as of this month. That sounds like a lot until you realize that the open interest in COMEX silver futures represents hundreds of millions of ounces of paper claims. But here's the kicker. If Shanghai, with all of China's refining capacity, with all of China's domestic production, cannot deliver 64 tons, if they can only scrape together 1 ton, what makes you think the COMEX can deliver when the squeeze hits New York? The answer is they can't. And deep down, they know they can't. So let's talk about what this delivery failure actually means. Because this is the moment that the bifurcation we have been discussing for months becomes permanent and irreversible. For decades, the global silver market has operated on a lie. The lie is this: paper silver and physical silver are the same thing. You could buy a futures contract in New York for $75 an ounce, or you could buy a physical bar in Shanghai for $75 an ounce, and the market assumed these were equivalent. If they ever diverged, arbitrage traders would step in and close the gap. But on January 1st, 2026, China implemented the export licensing system. That system made it nearly impossible to move silver out of China. The arbitrage bridge was blown up. The two markets started to drift apart. By late December, Shanghai was trading at $89, while New York was at $75, a $14 spread. We talked about this in previous videos. We said the spread was unsustainable. We said something had to break. Well, it broke. And what broke was the physical market in China. Why did it break? Because of what we call the war economy drain. You see, the reason Shanghai couldn't deliver 64 tons isn't because China ran out of silver. China is the world's largest refiner. They process more silver than any other nation on Earth. So where did the metal go? It went into the vaults of the Chinese military and the Chinese government, because we are now living in the early stages of a global resource war. And silver is not just a precious metal, it is a strategic war material.
That's right, you see? The Global Resource War. That's a nice title. The Global Resource War. And we're seeing all this happen. You know, this dollar don't mean nothing, man. The dollar is just, they just make it up out of thin air, man. It really don't mean nothing. What really means something is the minerals. Your cell phones, all this technology, it requires silver and gold and different things like that. Greenland and all these places they want to take over, they got different resources, mineral resources. All right. I'm gonna leave you off. I ain't gonna play all of it. I'm gonna leave you with a scripture. Let's leave you off with a scripture real quick. I want to go into the book of James, right? We're gonna close it out. James 5:1. And it says in the NLT, look here, you rich people, weep and groan with anguish because of all the terrible troubles ahead of you. Right. The horrible troubles ahead of you. It says your wealth is rotting away. Right. Your wealth is rotting away and your fine clothes are moth-eaten rags. Your gold and silver have become worthless. The very wealth you were counting on will eat away your flesh like fire. That's right, man. See, this is beautiful. Woo! Goodness gracious. The water Yahweh. The water Yahweh Shai. This treasure, let me read it again. Your gold and your silver have become worthless. The very wealth you were counting on will eat away your flesh like fire. The treasure you have accumulated will stand as evidence against you in the day of judgment. Man, that's all I got to read, man. Lord willing, the message edifying. Shalom.